going back to Norway. He has, with medical doctors, psychologists and psychiatrists, he has researched that meditation, and he has come out with Acem meditation in 1966.
Have certain dimensions that they can be described according to. One of them is the use of attention. And the interest in studying attention in the scientific community has been prevalent in the later decades. On one hand, you can have those meditations where you are supposed to concentrate and concentrate very hard. Then you have those meditations where concentration is much less, which is more in the direction of mindfulness. And at the other end, you have the non-concentrative meditations with the free mental attitude. So along that dimension, you can put different kinds of schools of meditation. The second dimension is the meditation object. And there are many different categories there. One of them is that you can have an external object, a tree, a beautiful flower, a candle, you can listen to music, something outside of you. Or you can take the meditation object from your body, you can follow the breathing, you can listen to the heart, you can follow the different sensations going on in the body. And then you have the internal sphere of meditation objects, where you can use a symbolic or a significant semantic meditation object, such as a stotra, a mantra, etc. And you can also have meditation objects which are without any semantic meaning, without any symbolic meaning. Those kinds of meditation objects are very rare. And then the third dimension is the relationship to the wandering mind. The wandering mind is what you experience happening when you're not by intent wanting to think about one or another thing. So those are the thoughts and images and sensations that come and go without your direction. Most schools of meditation say that you should try to control that wandering mind, while some other schools say that you should let that mind come and go, be free. So the kind of meditation that I am advocating is of the kind that uses no concentration, an internal object which is without any particular meaning or without any symbolic qualities to it, and also the wandering mind is allowed to come and go, which makes it in one way easy and somewhat different from what most people are used to when it comes to how meditation is to be done. We've put this practice into scrutiny, scientific scrutiny. We've looked at the brain activity, we've looked at the heart changes in scientific terms, and we've published these studies also in prestigious international journals, and you can find them if you like. And we can see that when you use the Acem meditation, the physiological changes in heart activity goes much deeper than it does in most other kinds of relaxation. When it comes to brain activity, you can see that the brain is at rest in far more areas than it would be under a concentration meditation. And like that, you see that the whole body is undergoing changes. How can how can meditation be explained in the Western world? Well, the best paradigm of research is stress. And our knowledge today about stress is considerable. Stress is understood according to what we call the HPA axis. That means the hypothalamus in the brain, the pituitary gland at the bottom of the brain, and the adrenal glands on top of the kidneys. Those above the top of the kidneys are those that pour out the stress hormones, and which regulate whether we are stressed up or stressed down. And it's interesting to look at this in relationship to meditation. We know that stress is a survival mechanism. It's something that brings out a lot of resources in the body for fight and for flight to survival, or which makes us compete better. So some aspects of stress are there to foster survival. Some of them are there to make us function better. But if stress stays high for a long time, stress becomes detrimental to health, to brain, to psychological functioning. So the important thing is to break the level of stress so that we can stress down deeply and then go back to regular life and have the natural stresses of life, and like that have these breaks, because without those breaks something is going to turn the wrong way. High levels of stress weakens the immune system. That means it makes us more susceptible to bacterial and viral infections. High levels of stress hormones, high levels of stress over time also make certain cancer types easier start growing a tumor. High levels of stress is taxing for the heart. It can lead to angina, it can lead to infarction, it can lead to stroke, it can lead to heart failure, and water is accumulated in the leg instead of being pumped around in a natural way in the body. So if stress is not broken, this is a not unlikely development sooner or later for people as they grow older. Also, another interesting thing has been found recently. In 2012, a person got the Nobel Prize because she discovered the workings of a special enzyme. The enzyme is called telomerase, and this enzyme is related to aging. When the chromosomes are getting older, they lose a telomere at the top and at the bottom of it, and for every cell division, it's getting shorter and shorter. And telomerase is a substance that can make the telomeres longer, and our aging is read on the telomeres. Okay. So this is where meditation comes in, because there is no activity known so well as meditation to bring the physiological changes to a much deeper level. Oxygen consumption goes down about 14% during a deep meditation. Heart rate goes considerably down. Blood pressure goes somewhat down. And in that sense, the heart is, and the brain and the body is being rejuvenated. Also, an important measure is the heart rate variability. How much does the heart change from second to second? That means how adaptable is the heart to the environment and the demands of the environment. And in children, the heart rate variability is at its highest. When you grow older, it gradually falls a little bit over the years, and at some point, the heart rate variability is much lower. If you then get a heart condition, a heart infarction or something, then it plummets to a much lower level. During Acem meditation, it has been scientifically demonstrated that the heart rate variability of people goes up, showing that the heart, the workings of the heart is much more wholesome and healthy than it would be otherwise. So this meditation, without concentration, using a non-semantic sound, repeated inwardly, is demonstrating these important changes in the body. I will go more into detail about this in a lecture I will give tomorrow at the Acem Center in Rajpatnagar, for those of you who are interested. But at this stage, I'm just giving you a brief overview. Acem meditation is done sitting in a chair just like now. You don't have to sit in a lotus position. You don't have to sit in any strenuous yoga position. You just sit as you are now. You close your eyes, you put your hands in your lap, and you start repeating internally a non semantic sound which has to be given to you. And then you use that in a very gentle, effortless manner, and thoughts and images come and go, and you don't try to stop them or let them go. And gradually, all this thought activity is winding down, so you are getting to a lower level of stress. And at some point, you lose the sound. It's gone. Then there is a time that something happens. And what is that? Well, from a scientific and psychological point of view, it's a pour out of tensions from the unconscious. Because if you follow this and study it in more detail, you can see that there is an association between what happens after having lost the sound till you regain awareness that you are without the sound. And in that, there are manifestations of unconscious, unresolved psychological, existential issues. Gradually, you lower the tensions of the unconscious, and thereby the mind is more and more open to deeper levels of awareness, where also the spiritual elements are more available than they otherwise would be. So the practice of Acem meditation is suggested to be of 20 minutes to 30 minutes duration twice a day. And many people would say, I don't have time for that, and that might be true. But from personal experience and from many other people's experience, we would also say that Acem meditation gives you time. It doesn't expand the 24 hours of the day, but it makes that the time you have a good level of energy to do and pursue your tasks and challenges is more. Thereby, it gives time. It gives time that is more efficient. Modern lifestyle is of such a kind that our level of stress generally tends to be high and tends to be long-term. When it tends to be long-term, it's more likely that it will result in various kinds of stress diseases sooner or later. And it also shortens the telomeres, which I just mentioned briefly. If you can add meditation to your daily life, you will change that, and you will get these breaks in the stressful modern life where demands are high. You need more knowledge, you have to meet more deadlines, you have to regulate your day in much more of a pattern that fits your employer, etc. So the freedom of the past generation is not there. We have more stress and more demands. Therefore, much more also is the demands of our lives that they have moved upwards towards the head. Our forefathers, they used their body when they had to work. We use our head and knowledge and expertise and intelligence far more. And therefore the mental level of stress is much higher than it was in the past. And for this, meditation is needed, much more than it was in some 100 years ago, because we are in this change of society where the demands on modern lifestyle is different. So I would recommend all of you to pick up some practice of meditation. Of course, I would like you to start with Acem meditation, but you might have other choices and other preferences. And I'm not saying that this is the only way and the only right thing, but it's essential that you develop some kind of practice and you get into the habit. And the funny thing is that India is the country where most meditations come from, whether it's the Chan meditation in Buddhist meditation in China, or it is the Vipassana meditations in Burma or in Sri Lanka. They all originated from India. And also my inspiration for developing this school of meditation is from India at the outset. But the surprising thing, if you go to India today, so few know how to meditate, so few practice it. All have good and great ideas and big words to bring out about meditation. Oh, it's so good, etc. But no, there are very few who practice. And this is something I would wish could change, and which I also would believe that would make this country, give this country more strength on the psychological level, on the physical level, and also on the spiritual level. So with these words, I've said a few things about Acem meditation. It was started in Norway in 1966 when I was 21 years old. Now I am 72 years old. I'm a retired university professor and doctor. I've had this interest all along. And it's been a pleasure for me to see that Acem meditation has been spread to several countries. It has a chapter here in Delhi, and it has also activities other places in India, in several other countries. Some weeks ago I was in Taiwan and had a meditation retreat there. We have centers all over Europe, we have in America. So it's something that people appreciate a lot when they get into it. At first it might not be apparent how powerful it is, but with some practice and some exploration, and particularly if you spend time going on a retreat, you will realize the depth and the intensity of this practice. So with these words, thank you for listening.